Hey everyone, welcome to Up All Night DIY. I'm Monica. Thanks for joining me. I'm very pleased to share with you guys that I'm now a Plaid ambassador, which is very cool because Plaid makes my preferred acrylic paint, Ceramcoat, and they also make folk art paints in mediums, and I use folk art float medium just about every time I paint. So in today's video, I'll be making 3 Dollar Tree projects using all Plaid products. So what are we doing hanging around here? Let's get into it. Project number 1, I'll be making this cute polka dot pumpkin. I'm removing the bow and the word thankful from the pumpkin, which I'll save for a future project. I'm sure I'll be able to find something to do with that. I'll be using the other side, so I need to sand the edges. It's pretty rough. I'll paint my pumpkin and this Hello October sign with 2 coats of Ceramcoat buttercream. I like Ceramcoat's acrylics best because I feel like it's more opaque, so ultimately you use less paint and it takes less time. I'll paint the stem with brown iron oxide, using 1 coat since I'll be covering the stem later. I'm really only painting it in case anything peeks through. I found this ribbon and it's the inspiration for all 3 projects today. When I saw it, I thought, oh, that's so fun. Love the colors and the polka dots. So I'm going to mimic the pattern onto my pumpkin, starting with Ceramcoat Bittersweet Orange and this piece of thick dowel. I dip my dowel into my paint and press it onto the bottom of my pumpkin. I'll go right across the bottom, end to end. The next line of dots will be in Ceramcoat straw, and I'll use a slightly smaller dowel. This is actually the handle from a sponge brush. This layer will have more dots, and the dots will go in between the orange dots. Then brown iron oxide dots above the straw ones. These dots will be in line with the bittersweet dots on the bottom. And I'm just using another handle from another sponge brush. And then I'll just repeat this pattern with the dots getting progressively smaller as they go up. This row is applied with a pencil eraser. Excellent for dip dotting. And for the next row, I'll use a smaller dowel. In the last row, I'll use the back of a paintbrush handle. While that dries, I'll add dots to the side of my October sign, which is going to be the base for my pumpkin. With folk art floating medium and brown iron oxide, I'll shade in some details. I dip my brush into the medium, then stroke it back and forth on my plate to load the bristles. Then I scoop the paint onto one corner of my brush and I'll stroke it on my plate again to load the paint into the bristles. This will give me a gradient of color. I keep the paint side of my brush closest to the center because that's where the darkest part of the shadow would be. I'm slightly curving my stroke and I'm only going about halfway down the pumpkin. Now I'll stroke from the bottom up, reloading as needed. Yeah, those lines at the top center, I didn't like them, so you'll see that I get rid of them later. Next, I'll shade all around the edge of the pumpkin. As I shade the bottom, I curve my stroke to give a rounded appearance to the bumps. To get rid of those lines, all I did was paint over them, first with just float medium, then I wiped them with a paper towel, and then I painted over the spot with buttercream. Now I'll join up my top line of shading with the bottom line. And as I like to add lots of layers of colors, I'll float along the same lines, only this time using Bittersweet. And I'll shade my base the exact same way. I'll float in some highlights with my white on both of the pieces. I'm just following the natural curve of the pumpkin shape. Now I'll wrap the stem with this really pretty fall cording. I'm just hot gluing as I go. I love the way this looks. I am totally digging the texture. You gotta see what Tami from Happiness Created did with this cording. I'll link her video below. Once I get to the very top, I just flip it over, glue it down, and cut off the excess. To make my bow, I've cut 2 lengths of ribbon, one slightly longer than the other. I'll make a loop at one end, pinching it in the middle, then I'm going to twist the tail so that the polka dots face forward. I'm working with this smaller length of ribbon first. I'll make my second loop Same way, pinching it again and twisting the tail to face the front. I struggle a bit, but practice makes perfect, as they say. Okay, once I get that sorted, I'll take a chenille stem and wrap it around the center and give it a good twist. So then I just do the exact same thing with the longer piece, making larger loops. I think you could probably see the process a little better with this larger ribbon. And I'll add the smaller bow on top using the chenille stem to tie them together. And I fluff it and dovetail my ends. I drill a hole just below the pumpkin stem. And then I'll push the chenille stem through the hole and wrap the stem around itself to attach my bow. This will keep it on there nice and tight without having to use glue. I've marked where I want my pumpkin to go on my base. With hot glue, I'll attach 3 square dowels to my base. Then I'll glue my pumpkin to those dowels. To finish, I spray it with clear matte sealer. For my next project, I'll paint this little Dollar Tree tray with my buttercream paint, giving it 2 coats inside and out. On the inside of the tray, I've applied this Pumpkin Festival stencil that I cut with my silhouette. With Mod Podge and a cosmetic sponge, I'll pounce over the stencil to keep the paint from bleeding. When the Mod Podge is dry, I pounce on brown iron oxide. Time to peel and reveal. With the brown iron oxide and the Bittersweet, I'll dry brush on some aging and distressing. I'm starting with the Bittersweet this time, just anywhere I feel it should go. Then I'll repeat it with the brown iron oxide. And I hit it with some white too. I'm dry brushing Bittersweet into the wee grooves of this tiny little pumpkin. And you know, I'm going to hit it with the brown iron oxide too. Before moving on, I'll spray seal my tray. I pull up the stem of my pumpkin a wee bit and I'll hot glue on some tiny leaves onto the pumpkin stem Actually, like slightly underneath it. I glue some of my cording around itself to make a little nest for my pumpkin to sit in, and I'll glue that into the very corner of the tray. Then I glue in my pumpkin. I'm cutting little triangular pennants from my ribbon, and you're almost in danger of actually seeing what I'm doing. Sorry about that. Slightly out of shot. But anyway, here's what it looks like. I drape it across the corner, gluing it into place, and I'll finish it off by adding a cute wee button at either end of the pennants. Turned out really cute. Hope you like it. Project number 3, my last DIY. I'll remove the twine and all the glue from this Dollar Tree metal vase, and I'll spray paint it with this Rust-Oleum white clean metal primer. Then I'll give it a loose coat of buttercream. Once it's dry, I'll add dots down the front and the sides, just like I did with the pumpkin. I'm telling you, I am loving these polka dots. They couldn't be cuter. Look at how cute. I dry brush on some brown iron oxide. I'm hitting that edge around the pail, as well as the raised edge at the bottom and the rim at the top. And of course, I'll spray seal it. I added some styrofoam to the pail, and I'll fill it with some pumpkins, berries, and flower picks, and a couple of fall leaves. And we're done. I'm not really sure what it is about polka dots, but whenever I see them, I just think they're so much fun. I think it's because they remind me of bubbles, confetti, balloons. I don't know, but they always make me happy. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I sure had fun making these projects. I want to thank Plaid for making me an ambassador. That's so awesome. All supplies and any pertinent information to the video will be in my description box below. If you're so inclined, please like, share, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. Stay creative, my friends. Thanks for hanging with me. I'll see you next time. Up all night with Monica.